Hi, today we, the students of BCom Professional, are here to discuss about the importance of data privacy and also to talk about our digital footprint and how technology and our digital life and AI has encompassed itself to revolve around society and how this how the technology has helped us identify bias in society and what's wrong with society, but has also caused a major problem within society. We, uh, we all here personally feel that moving forward in the future, wars are going to be fought with data instead of guns. So today we're here to talk about digital footprints, and we're also here to talk about our lack of data privacy laws and legislation on the same. So let's start with Gaurav talking about algorithm bias and digital footprints.
Hello, I'm Gaurav. I'm going to speak about big data and dangers of algorithmic bias. So, big data is a set of huge data which is growing exponentially with time, and it is a data with so large size and complexity that none of the traditional data management can store it or even process it efficiently. Algorithm is a finite sequence of well-defined computer implementable instructions, typically to solve a class of problems or to perform a computation. When we talk about algorithmic bias, bias can enter into algorithmic systems as a result of pre existing cultural, social, or institutional expectations because of technical limitations of its own software, or even by being used in unanticipated contexts, or by being used by audiences which are not defined for it to use it. We see that there has been gender-based discrimination, racial discrimination on basis of algorithmic bias. As we see in Compass software used by the U.S. court judges to penalize the criminals, there has been a difference of twice between penalties on black criminals compared to white criminals. And even gender-based discrimination can be seen on a job hunt website, where male members get more jobs rather than compared to female members. And digital footprint or digital shadow. Digital footprint is a unique set of traceable digital activity which companies use to uh, which companies use to give personalized ads. Suppose, for example, if we search a shoe on an Amazon, then we get certain ads on the other websites that these websites are selling shoes of the same at a cheaper rate than the other website. So this is what companies use for digital footprints for. And now Avleen will continue.
So, continuing Gaurav's point, so with the computer and internet taking over every aspect of our life, there is a need of strong cyber law. There is no express legislation in India dealing with data protection. Cyber law is important in a country in India where the internet used is in a large scale. And talking about the rural areas, internet usage is exploding, and with the world's lowest mobile data prices. And here the problem arises about the fake news is going across the social media. When the term fake news comes up, people usually think of social media posts, and misinformations can influence users, manipulating them for political or economic reasons. WhatsApp. Talking about WhatsApp is known as the black hole for fake news in India, and there is more than 200 million Indian users who use this app. WhatsApp has become a place where users forward more content than anywhere in the world, and participants tend to assume that WhatsApp messages from family and friends could be trusted and sent on without any checks. For this, WhatsApp says that it has banned 2 million accounts globally every month that are sending automated spam messages. New privacy setting also allows now users to decide who can add them to the groups. While WhatsApp said that its move has decreased forwarded messages by 25%, fact checkers at other organizations say fake news still is still rampant. The latest changes in messages service, WhatsApp's privacy policy, is drawing some kind of confusion between the users. The company announced from Jan 6 that it will force users to share information with Facebook if they want to keep using the service of WhatsApp. So every time a company combines data from multiple sources or multiple platforms, it raises privacy concerns because it increases the possibility that people can be identified and that a company knows more about you. And according to that policy, other information that will be shared with Facebook includes the user's browser information, language, time zone, IP address, and mobile network. Moving on to Shimi.
Okay, so now let's talk about the need for protection law in our country. So, the right to privacy is it's a fundamental right for every citizen in our country. And talking about digitalization, digitalization and data sharing has been booming in our country since the past 10 years. So, now along with this digitalization, there is also increase of data breaches and a lot of leaks. And this can only be fixed with a data privacy law. So now let's talk about that. First, Aadhaar identification system. The Aadhaar identification system, based on the Aadhaar Amendment Bill, states that the personal information of every citizen can be databases run based on consent framework. However, when it comes to Aadhaar card and Aadhaar Amendment Bill, the information right from the biometric to every information related to transaction and everything is open to the corporate, to the private players, and this puts every citizen at risk of data leaks. And adding on to WhatsApp and any other social media, which is again increasing in India. The use of social media is increasing in India, and this and moreover, adding to the fake news, also many states in our country itself is monitoring the application. Like for an example, Uttar Pradesh last month has started monitoring the usage of WhatsApp in their state to curb all the criminal cases. However, it doesn't just stop there, but on the other side, it also leads to data leaks of many other people who has nothing to do with it. So more than an advantage, it's a disadvantage. So in all these cases, there is a requirement of protection law. So along with an amendment bill, the data protection bill has to be passed, which gives every citizen the right over their own data and restrict their data from leaking to state or private access. Thank you, and over to Sal.
Hi, so adding on to Srivan's point, I think what Srivan said is extremely important, especially with respect to data breaches and the recent scandal with the Aadhaar numbers. I think we as a society can start preventing this at ground zero by educating, by introducing data privacy and data security educations to children right from their schools, so they know how to better protect themselves against companies who steal the data willingly or unwillingly. So, talking more about data privacy, I would like to bring in one positive news which has happened in the recent past, which is Facebook versus Apple, where Apple in its new update has stopped allowing Facebooks to track iPhone users via their advertising ID. So how this works is every phone has an advertising ID, and that advertising ID is part of Facebook's network, which then Facebook uses to direct personalized ads towards you. So Apple has blocked this, and it asks users consent before the app can use your advertising data. So this again is a very positive move by Apple, in my opinion, regardless of what their ulterior motives were. And I would also like to talk about the dangers of data breaches. So in India, when a company's data is breached, we rarely ever see the light of it. There is no public announcement. So when data, what we mean when data is actually breached is your emails, your passwords, your banking information, and everything is out there on the internet. And and today I would like to show you how accessible this data is. It's not like this data. Usually this data is it tried to sold back to the company with a blackmail, obviously, which almost never works out, and it's leaked into the web, and it's freely available for users to access. And to access this information, you don't need any kind of technical skills. You need to know how to use a computer, and that's about it. So today I would like to show you what happens when there's a data breach, and I was a victim of data breach once with my old passwords, and I'd like to show you that those passwords are still on the internet. So right now what I'm doing is I'm using a tool which is going through a database which is on Google, uh, and I'm putting my own email address to show you my breached password from a while back. So right now what you see on the screen is my password from a previously leaked database, which was basically my dog's name. And I'm publicly sharing this information so that you know the severity of data breaches. And most people use the same passwords across millions of websites, and across various websites, I'm sorry. And if they have one password, they have access to your entire ecosystem, which is your banking details, your personal data, where you live. And you can think of someone living with you, but you can't see them. And a lot of people say, I don't have anything to hide, so therefore I'm not worried about data protection. But when you put it in the sense of, let's assume, a person living with you and tracking every movement, would you or would you not feel uncomfortable? So I would like to there's obviously simple fixes to these problems, which I would like to propose is basically users to switch to open source software. What open source software means is the code of the software is publicly available, and even though you may not be able to understand what the code says, there are thousands of people in the community who can look through the code and tell you if something is malicious. So I would like to end on that note, and thank you for listening to us.